Assalamualaikum. Today we would like to present to you our highway engineering project by Group 2.
Okay, we start with the introduction. Pavements are subject to various forces that might affect their performance and durability, particularly when made of asphalt concrete. Environmental conditions and traffic pressures are the main causes of these distresses, which are frequently characterized by permanent deformation, fatigue breaking, and moisture-related failures. Several factors contribute to the distress, including fragile subgrade soils, high temperatures, poor materials, and insufficient compaction during construction.
For the objective part, firstly, the objective is to identify the problematic of the road surface. Second is to determine the level of safety and comfort of the roads for the road user. Third is to determine the level of damage of the road surface using the pavement condition index PCI. And lastly is to analyze and suggest the suitable methods for the rehabilitations of a road surface and also the treatments of the roads. And then moving on for the problem statements. Firstly, the problem statement is about there were numerous numbers of heavy constructions vehicles that were using this route. These conditions mainly happened due to several constructions involving government parties and developers party that kept using the route because it is only route to get the site. Besides that, these routes have also been used by the students and lecturers at this university. The second problem statement is the road was not being built in presentable manners and not organized. These can be seen by the way of the conditions of the road. These could lead to a dangerous conditions where in future could cause accidents. Besides that, during the night time, the several cracking could not be seen, which may cause accidents, mostly to the motorists. And last but not least, for the problem statement, is the flooding of the road during heavy rains. Flooding on top of the road may cause weakness of the string of the road, which may cause greater pavement distress.
For the methodology, this observation was made to determine the kind of vehicle that had utilized this stretch of road and how often it had been used. At Jalan Parit Sempadan, laut near College Kediaman Luar Campus UTHM in Batu Pahat, Johor was located. The road had been rated using the Pavement Condition Index method or PCI method to know the level of severity of the road pavement. The following figure illustrates how to use the Pavement Condition Index, PCI. The scope of this project, the location. The location that has been chosen in the road at Jalan Parit Sempadan Laut near College Kediaman Luar Campus UTHM in Batu Pahat, Johor. For the length of the road that was investigated is 1 kilometer. Equipment that is being used during this site investigation, there are only several items that are being used during site investigation, which are measuring tapes, odometer wheel, and safety vest. The number of sections, only 4 sections that has been.
Moving on to the data analysis and results. So here is the first sections for the data analysis. As you can see, here is the table where we insert all the branch, the sample area, which 100 meter times with 30 meter, and then the date where we observe or the date and where we actually find out the distress severity. And then here in the table, we have distress severity, quantity in meter squared, total in meter squared, density in percentage, and also the deduct value. So in the first sections, we find out we have 4 distress severity, which include 04M, 13M, 01H, and 11M. So M is considered as medium, H is considered as high, and L is considered as low. So 04, 13, 01, and 11 is different types of distress. So we can find out all the distress based on the given above in the table above. For an example, for 04M, 04 means bumps and sacks. So bumps and sacks medium. So what's the quantity we will find out, and we will gonna observe the bumps and sacks, how much the quantity is it, and then we calculate the total for the distress severity, the quantity, and then we calculate the density by using the formula, and also the deduct value. So we find out the deduct value from each graph. Each distress severity will have its own graphs. So we'll find the deduct value based on each graph. And then once we had done find out the deduct value, and then the next step is we try to calculate the maximum allowable number of deducts M. So we will find the highest deduct value HDV. So since 48 is the most highest, so we proceed to calculate the value of M using the formulas given. And then once we insert all the value, we will find out the value of M is equals to 5.78. So since we have the number of deduct value is 4, so which deduct value we will arrange in descending order. So here you can see 48, 14, 9 and also 5. It's arranged in descending order. So since the maximum allowable number of deduct is 5.78, therefore all the data will be selected. All the data which is 48, 14, 9 and 5 will be selected. Then the next step is we will calculate the maximum corrected deduct value CDV. So the number of deduct values are greater than 2. So which means you know that the Q is equals to 4. So the total deduct value, we will calculate the total deduct value, 48 plus with 14 plus with 9 and plus with 5. So it will be given 76 as the total. And then from the graph, we will find the PCI using the PCI method. We will find out that CDV is equals to 43. So since, and then we try to look at the CDV. So here is the table for the CDV, where we have the deduct value, total, Q, and also CDV. For the deduct value, we will use the same value from the deduct value from the descending order of deduct value. So and then for the total, we will add on all the deduct value, so we get the total. And the Q is as you can see, the Q is in descending order. And for the CDV, we will find the value for CDV using a graph. And then once we had done insert all the value in the table, and then we will try to calculate the PCI. So as you can see, the most highest CDV's value is 54. So then we can determine the pavement condition index with the PCI using the formula PCI equals to 100 minus with the maximum CDV. So since maximum CDV is equals to 54, then its mean PCI is equals to 100 minus with 54, and it will be given 46. So based on the testing for PCI value 46, this section, which is the section 1 of the pavement, is in a poor conditions. So we know that the maintenance activity for this section is a major rehabilitation and also a defect actions. Moving on to the next section, which is section 2. Same go for the section 2, we will be insert all the value in this table. So we will find out all the distress severity that we had found in section 2, then we insert in this table. So from the section 2, we had found 4 different types of distress severity, which include 01H, 11M, 10M, and 13L. So 01 means the alligator cracking in height. 11 is patching and utility cut patchings in medium. 10 is long and trans cracking in medium. And lastly is 13. 13 is potholes in low. So then we find out the quantity of each distress severity that has found at the section. and then we calculate the total for the distress severity, and then we find out the density by using the formula, and also the deduct value will be find out from the graph. So once we already finished to insert all the data in these tables, then we move to the next steps where we find the maximum allowable number of deducts M. So we choose the highest deduct value HDV as 34 since it's the most highest one. Then we continue to calculate the value for M by using this formula, and we will be given the final value for M is equal to 7.06. So we know that we have the number of deduct values given that we have found is equals to 4. Then we will be arrange the deduct value in the descending order, which is start with 34, 12, 8 and 4. So since the maximum allowable number of deduct is 7.06, therefore all the data which is 34, 12, 8 and 4 are selected. Then we move to insert the data in the next table where we have deduct value, total, Q and CDV. For the deduct value, we will start with the first distress severity, which 34, 12, 8 and 4, and then we add on all to calculate the total, and then we try to insert the Q in the descending order for the deduct value, and we find out the CDV by using a graph. And then the next step is to find the maximum corrected deduct value using CDV, which is CDV. So here you can see that the number of deduct value are greater than 2, which is the Q is equals to 4. So means the total deduct value is equals to 34 times with 12 34 add with 12 add with 8 and add with 4, and it's equals to 58. 54. So 58. Then we can see that from the graph we try to find out the value for CDV, and then we find out that from the table we can see that the maximum CDV is equals to 54. Then we can proceed to determine the pavement condition index PCI by using the formula of PCI equals to 100 minus with maximum CDV. So it will be given that 100 minus with 40, and it's equals to 60. So based on the testing for PCI value 60, this section, which is section 2 of this pavement, is in the fair conditions, and the maintenance activity is only rehabilitations.
Next, this is the result for section 3, and there are 4 distress that we found, which is joint reflection cracking medium, alligator cracking medium, depression low, and alligator cracking high. And for the higher deduct value is 32, and the maximum allowable number of deducts is 7.2. And from the table below, that we can conclude that maximum CDV is 37 and PCI is 63, and based on the rating for PCI values of 63, the section pavement was in satisfactory condition. We move on to section 4. There are 4 distress that we found, which is potholes low, alligator cracking high, patching and utility cut patching medium, and lastly longitudinal cracking high. And the higher deduct value is 28, and the maximum allowable number of deducts is 7.6. And from the table below, we can conclude that maximum CDV is 34 and the PCI is 66, and based on the rating for PCI values is 66, the section pavement was in satisfactory condition.
For the last section, which is section 5, we also find 4 distress severity, which is 07M, 16M, 17M, and 9L. 07 is edge cracking, 16 is shelving, 17 is lip edge cracking, and the last one, 9, is lean or shoulder drop. For the total, for the density of edge cracking is 1.4, and for shelving is 0.23. For slippage cracking is 0.07, and the last one for lane or shoulder drop off is 0.79. As you can see, the highest deduct value is 9, and deduct value in descending order is 9, 7, 4, and 3, and the number of deduct value is 4. The maximum CDV, as we calculate, we got 15, and the PCI is 85. Based on the rating for PCI value, 85, the section of pavement is in good condition, and the maintenance activity is routine maintenance. This is the discussion of our project. Based on rating pavement condition index (PCI) value obtained as a result of the classification according to the level of damage and calculation that have been made on 5 selected sections. The result obtained for section 1 are 46 PCI with the road classification as poor. Section 2 is 60 PCI with road classification as fair condition. Section 3 is 63 PCI with the road classification as fair condition, and section 4 is 66 PCI with the road classification as satisfactory, and the last one is section 5 is 85 PCI with the road classification as good condition. From the damage classification and observation that have been made, the main factor of the occurrence of different damage may be caused by environmental factors, namely climate change, where extreme temperature, rain, and humidity affects the pavement, causing cracks, holes, and surface wear. Water damage factor, where poor damage and water infiltration can weaken the pavement structure, lead to erosion and degradation of base material.
So, for the conclusion and recommendation, we can infer some conclusion from the survey that we read. The road is rated at level A of service and is in a good condition based on the standard PCI rating system for section 1. One kind of maintenance that is feasible is routine maintenance. According to the standard PCI rating scale we obtained for section 2, it has a road A service level and is in outstanding condition. Other than that, the standard PCI rating scale for section 3 is in excellent condition and has an A road service level. The kind of maintenance that can be done on this segment is routine maintenance. Finally, with a maintenance level of A, the routine maintenance activity that may be performed for section 4 is in excellent shape. It is recommended that the party responsible have a comprehensive quality control and quality assurance program to create reliable data. In this case, the pavement condition survey is still being conducted. Thus, it is necessary to periodically verify that quality control methods are in place. Grading and monitoring of the data acquisition equipment is necessary to ensure that the quality